So, this lecture is about Weber's text, The Distribution of Power Within the Political Community, Class, Status and Party, which is drawn from his much larger work called Economy and Society from 1925, from which the text on the three types of authority, which we have already discussed in class, was drawn as well. So this text on class, status and party is more or less a conversation with Marx, or with the ghost of Marx, if you may. Just like Marx, Weber was interested in the relationship between the economy and the society and the consequences that it has for the distribution of power in society. But what Weber does in this text is propose a more complicated picture of power than Marx did. Remember the Communist Manifesto, where Marx says that economic power is really the basis for social stratification and power in general. And he suggested to us that there are just two classes based on the ownership of the means of production, the bourgeoisie and the proletariat. And of course, if you remember looking closely at the Communist Manifesto, of course Marx talked about the middle classes, small shopkeepers, tradespeople. So he was certainly aware that, of course, there was a middle class in existence even at the time of his writing, and it was more or less a strategic intervention for him to posit just those two classes and to say, well, you better join us to the middle class. You know? But Weber much more explicitly here wants to complicate our understanding of class, and he also adds two other dimensions or two other sources of power: status and party. Yeah? So by the end of this lecture, or this video lecture series, you should have a good understanding first of Weber's analysis of social stratification, and through that hopefully also a better understanding of the contemporary landscape of social stratification in the United States. We want to get away a little bit from this facile slogan, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Well, yes, they do, okay, but we want to have better tools to understand why. And Weber is offering us the tools for a much more nuanced understanding. Also, this text is a very good example of Weber's method of using ideal types, so useful abstractions, ideal types in order to understand actual historical reality. Yeah? So it should offer you another example for how he went about using abstract categories for ultimately understanding historical reality, messy social reality. And finally, by the end of this lecture, you should also have a better understanding how this analysis of power relates to Weber's analysis of authority and the three types of authority that we discussed in class. Because there's a link here, so we want to create that context for you to be able to locate those works in a larger context. Okay? So let's get started.